Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the route that Jack Ruby took when he assassinated Oswald in the JFK assassination. Now, when people brings in Jack Ruby into the assassination of JFK, is because of pure simple fact of is he killed Oswald. Okay, and when they portray this, they're telling us that Jack Ruby was to shut up Oswald, so he killed Oswald and stuff. Because basically, let me show you this right here. Jack Ruby, okay, shot Oswald, as everybody knows that because he shot Oswald on live TV. But everybody wants to portray that he did this to shut Oswald's mouth so he don't say nothing. Okay, but when they talk about Jack Ruby, okay, they never talk. They only give us partial information. Okay, just like if you watch a JFK movie by Oliver Stone, okay, they portray that Jack Ruby knew Oswald because an eyewitness said he knew Oswald. That Oswald and Jack Ruby knew each other as friends and all this stuff. Then they turn around and when they portray it in the movie, they got Jack Ruby there during Oswald, in front of the cameras and stuff like that at midnight. Okay, on Saturday night, and uh, Jack Ruby was sitting there, and which we know he was there, okay, because there's images of him there. But they got him sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, he was with this place here, the Fair Cuba Committee and stuff like that." They're making us believe that this is what he said, but he really didn't say nothing. Jack Ruby didn't say a word when he was there. And then when you portray in the movie, they show him coming around, and in a JFK movie, they got him portrayed that he was sneaking in the back door, and an officer let him in, and he snuck around and goes, Oswald, and he shoots Oswald, This is how they want to portray it because they know that would sell. Okay, so they put that, that in there. Again, like I said, a lot of stuff they put in there is smoke and mirrors, okay, to their story just to sell that story. But when they talk about Jack Ruby assassinating Oswald, okay, they only give you partial of evidence, and they never really go into full details of what took place that day or anything else. As you see behind me on the screen, I have images and stuff like that. I went ahead on Google Earth and put this together so I can explain to people Jack Ruby's route and actually what took place that day when he assassinated Oswald. Like I said, they're not going to give you this information, okay? One thing they're going to tell you about when Jack Ruby was, like, he snuck in the back door, as they claimed, and he shot Oswald, and that's it, basically. They don't give you that much information, and they never point this route out. Now, they point the route out when it comes to JFK assassination. Everybody knows they come up with maps and everything else, showing Dealey Plaza, talking about the route and how Oswald took his shots or how the man behind the picket fence took his shots, They'll point that out. Then they're going to sit there and go into detail and show route that Oswald took stuff. But what about Jack Ruby? They never talk about Jack Ruby. Okay, they want to pinpoint all this other stuff, but they want to throw this away because they don't want you to know. But everybody knows me that I'm going to tell you. As you see here, which I'm going to start pulling up now, I'm going to get right into it. We know by photographic evidence and on TV, Jack Ruby shot Oswald. We know Oswald passed away that day as well. Okay, this is them when he's on a stretcher, getting ready to load him into the ambulance and everything else. Now, we're going to get into good stuff now. Here is the Old Western Union right here, 2034 Main Street. This is where Jack Ruby sent out money to one of his workers, okay, because they needed $25 to pay the rent, so he come there. This is the reason why he went down there, okay, because originally he was just sitting at home in his underwear, as he's telling his story. He was at home in his underwear, and he was supposed to move Oswald at 10:15 that morning, okay, and I'm going to go into more details of why he wasn't moved at that time, okay, but this is where Jack Ruby sent the money off to, right here. This is the location. Now, this is the front of the Municipal Building, which is basically the old courthouse where they had Oswald and everything else, you know, the jail cell and everything else. Okay, this is 106 South Harwood Street. Okay, this is the front entrance. Okay, then we have this one right here. Now, this is where the ramp that goes down into where they was transporting Oswald. Okay, right here was blocked off. Actually, it was blocked off because of they had an armored truck there, but the armored truck was too big, so it couldn't get down in there. So they went ahead and had it parked here still with this door open up right here. This is on Commerce Street. Okay. Then this one here, this is the ramp. Okay. This ramp right here, this goes, this is on, I think Main Street here. This is Main Street right here. Yeah. No, hold on for just a moment, which I'll go into that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me show you this one. This is the entrance right here where they was backing up the car to take Oswald out, but then they had to take the car out and then back in the ambulance and stuff to take Oswald to Parkland Hospital after he was shot by Jack Ruby. Now, what I want to do is I want to pull this up right here. Okay, this is the location right here. This is location. This is right here. This is Commerce Street right here. This is South Harwood Street right here. And this is Main Street right here. Yeah, Main Street. Sorry, I'm just trying to put all this together so everybody get the full aspect. Okay, this is Main Street right here. Okay, now this is the jail cell where it was transporting Oswald and getting ready to take him out of there and everything else. Over here is the building where the Western Union was. Okay, now they said Oswald walked a half a block. I mean, not Oswald, excuse me, Jack Ruby walked a half block, and then he snuck in through the front and went through the steps in the back and everything else and came down. But what we're going to do is we're going to investigate that as for a moment. We're going to investigate that, and we're going to see for ourselves. Now, let me zoom in case you can't see this, because I know I'm over here. This is where they was holding Oswald and they was getting ready to move him. This is where the Western Union was. It's right here. If you watch my cursor, Western Union was right here at that point back in 1963. Right here is the entrance. This is the ramp where they had the armored truck was right here. It was stuck right here. Okay, and they didn't get a chance to back it out at that time. Right here is the front entrance to the building, and right here is the ramp that they took when they brought the ambulance in. They had back the ambulance into there and then pull back out and go down Main Street here to Parkland Hospital. Okay, now we're going to go to this one here. As you see, here's Western Union right here, which I'll zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Because like I said, I know I'm right over here. Okay, we have the Western Union right here. We have the front entrance to the building right here, and we have the ramp that's over here. Now we're going to go into more details, okay? Which, let me pull this up right here. Okay, we got Western Union right here. We have the ramp right here where they took Oswald out in the ambulance. We have the ramp right here where the armored truck was stuck or placed at that point, and that's the front entrance. Now, they said Jack Ruby walked a half block, and he was right there. But as you see here in the image, there's no way he can walk a half block and he's there. And here's the reason why, and here I'm going to show you. Now, remember, we got to look at this too as well. We got to put this in here as well. The stamp on Jack Ruby's receipt was at 11/17. Okay, so basically he paid him the money, $25 plus, you know, money for sending the money. And it was stamped at 11/17. Okay. Then after they got done sending it, then he left. And then he ends up shooting Oswald at 11:21 that same morning, which was actually 4 minutes that Jack Ruby had to go from Western Union to this location right here where he shot Oswald. Now, they claim that he walked a half a block and he was there and he snuck in the front. He came into the front and a police officer let him in, stuck him in the back way, and then, came down there and shot Oswald, which I can say that is false evidence. And here's why I say that. Because of the people and the surroundings and everything else. Like I said, when you put stuff back into the location, the evidence back in the location, the people back in the location, we can get more evidence from that. We can get more detail on that, okay? This ain't the route that Jack Ruby took, because if you look at it, okay, the proper way, this is more than a half a block, because you would have to walk down this way to here, then you had to walk down here, and then into what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this real quick so I can keep it in view, because I know it's kind of hard to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this part right here a little bit. And we're going to select all, copy, then we're going to paste. See, it don't take long to do this kind of stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up right here so I can get all this in frame, because I know I'm down here below. And I know people, wants to be able to see the whole thing when I'm talking about this. Okay, now we're going to save it. Now we're going to reopen it. As you see here now. Now you can see the whole layout. I should have done this before I started making a video. I apologize for that. But at least you can get some more insight on how you can do things as well, especially on paints. Okay. We have Western Union right here. We have the one ramp right here, which is closed off at the time when Jack Ruby was walking around here. Okay. Then we have the ramp back here where they had the armored car, and then we have the front entrance. Now, if Jack Ruby walked out this way, came down this block here, then down in here, that would actually be almost a block and a quarter. And then going inside the building, and then he's got to go on the first floor there, and then he's got to go through one door, down some stairwell, and then out to where the ramp is down in the basement and everything else. So see, that would be a long way, and that's a long route, which would take a lot of time, because remember, we're working with a 4-minute time period. Now, we might even be working with a 3-minute time period, because it might have been 11:17:58 seconds, 11 minutes, 11:17.58 seconds, and then it could have switched to 11:18 as soon as Jack Ruby walked out the door, or while he was still in the building. Okay, this is an estimated guess, because remember, they're going by what's stamped on the receipt, so he could have left at 11:19 or 11:18, as far as we know. So that would have put it anywhere from 4 minutes to 3 minutes to 2 minutes that he had to walk from one location to another and shoot Oswald. Okay, so if he walked down this way and done this, he could have never been on time. They would have already had Oswald inside the car and gone by the time he went down. Jack Ruby had to walk down this way, because his car had been parking this right here, because at that time there was a parking lot right here. So he would have parked right behind here. So he was walking around, getting ready to get in his car, and he's seen the armored car there, which you can see it from this location here. The armored car and police. So he decides to walk down this way and then walk straight down the ramp, and he's right there. Okay, so he would have had to come around this way on this side of the building or on this side of the building, but mostly he probably came from this side of the building instead of coming completely around this way. He probably walked down the side of the building here, all right around here, went to the parking lot, seen that still, and walked right down here. He'd been there, and that would be more or less like a half a block. When you go from this spot to this spot here, you'd be going like a half block to almost 3/4 of a block. Okay, and then walk straight down the ramp. Now, that would have been a lot quicker route for him to take within that time period to shoot Oswald. Okay, but remember, like I said, let's keep in mind now time frames, and let's keep in mind that he wasn't going to be down there. Okay, now they want to portray that this is a setup, and Jack Ruby was going to kill Oswald and stuff. If he was going to do that, why would he be over here at the Western Union? Okay, when Oswald's supposed to be being moved any minute. Remember, he thought Oswald was being moved at 10:15. The reason why Oswald wasn't moved at 10:15, because they couldn't get that armored truck down there, so they had to give it a little bit more time. So by the time they get ready to move Oswald, he was just pure luck of being there at the time they was moving Oswald, because Oswald should already been gone if, he was planning on it. The only way a person is going to plan to assassinate somebody, okay, like, okay, say if Jack Ruby was behind it, he was going to take Oswald out. Jack Ruby would have made sure that he had a 20-minute gap there. He wouldn't have been sitting there. First off, he would have been there at 10:15 when it first was going to move him. He would have been there at 10:15, but he wasn't. He was still at home in his underwear. But he went ahead and came down there because of to send money out to one of his workers. So at 10:15, Oswald should have been moved, but he wasn't at that time. If Jack Ruby wanted to assassinate to shut Oswald up, he would have been there at probably about 9:30 in that morning and wait around for 45 minutes when they get ready to move him. If Jack Ruby wanted to assassinate him, then he found out, well, you know, someone, because after bringing this information out, someone would probably come along and add more to the false story saying, oh, well, hey, you know, maybe, you know, someone called him from the police station, okay? And the only reason why I'm saying this now, because eventually, usually when I bring out the facts and I show the facts stuff, there's always somebody coming up with some excuse, okay? But, you know, they could say, well, you know, one of the police officers called Jack Ruby and said, well, we're not moving him now. We're going to move him at this time. Jack Ruby would still, no matter which way you look at it, would have been there at least probably about 11 o'clock or quarter till 11 if he was planning on assassinating Oswald, and he wouldn't left or anything else and try to go mail out some money or else some money and stuff, you know, to cover his tracks, okay, and take that time and say, well, you know, I'm here 11:17. He could be moving any minute. So they're going to come there from quarter till 11 on, because any time in between there, he would have been moved. Okay. An assassin will not take that time period and say, well, I'm going to go ahead and wait till the last minute to do it. Okay. They won't do that. They always, you know, be prepared. They're always there. So Jack Ruby wasn't there. Jack Ruby was over here at 11:17. And then when he came out, he's seen all the scuffling, I mean, all the things going on there. Walks down, decides what's going to happen. And with that door being open and with that armored car there, it's easy for him to walk down the side there, because when you look at the ramp here, okay, when we're going to look at this ramp here, all you had to do is just walk right down, because remember, you got police officers and not only police officers, but you have cameramen there, reporters there, and everything else, okay? They're going to have all this stuff blocked off right here, you know. And Jack Ruby came from behind. Remember, Jack Ruby came from behind them, okay, because they actually, Oswald was over in this location. So basically, they went this way. But Oswald, I mean, right here is where they brought Oswald out, right here. So all this is blocked off by news reporters and cameras and all this other stuff, right? Now, remember, Jack Ruby came down. So he had to come in from behind him and then come around and shoot Oswald right here. That's what he did. He came around and shoot Oswald right here. Okay, so he was behind them. And as you see, there's guardrail here. Now, for him to take a door, he would have to climb over the railing and everything else and all that. And he goes, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing climbing over the railing? Okay, so there's a lot of things you have to look at. It was easy for him to get down there, take the shots, and then leave, as I point out right here. For Jack Ruby to come around here, he's just going to walk right down here, and take shots to Oswald. He'd have been there within about a minute, I mean, about 2 minutes time period, what it took him to walk from here to here. And when he seen Oswald coming out, Oswald had a sort of a smirk on his face, and that's when he snapped and he grabbed out his revolver and shot Oswald. Okay, because he was upset. Now, a lot of people says, oh, no one, you know, Oswald, I mean, Jack Ruby's confessing about this. Jack Ruby's confessed about that. Again, they're not going to tell you the whole story, as I do. Jack Ruby's said in his deathbed confession, he didn't know Oswald. He didn't know Oswald or anything else. He killed Oswald, as you see in my other video, he killed Oswald because, you know, he was upset because he's, you know, he liked JFK and all this stuff, and he heard his family and everything else, you know, by shooting him and assassinating him. Okay. He also was upset because Officer Tippett was probably one of his friends and stuff, and he was assassinated by Oswald as well, okay? So, you know, Jack Ruby could have shot him because over Officer Tippett or over JFK, all right? But the point of fact of it is, Jack Ruby never confessed that he was part of the mafia and that he was running guns for him, and, you know, he was, he knew Oswald and all this stuff. He never said none of this stuff. Just like people sit there and goes, well, you know, he wanted to talk to the president, he wanted to be moved to Washington and everything else. Jack Ruby, and the whole conversation that Jack Ruby had was, I want to talk to the president to let him know I wasn't part of the assassination of JFK, because all the rumors is going around after he shot Oswald about him not being behind it and everything else as well to shut him up, because how people and reporters push that false claims and false stories out there. So he wanted to let Lyndon B. Johnson know that he wasn't behind assassination. Another reason why he wanted to be moved from Dallas to Washington was the pure simple fact of it is because of the laws, because he was tried and he was sentenced to death in Dallas for murdering Oswald. But he knew if he went to Washington, which would be under different laws and different restrictions, then he would have to worry about having a death penalty on him, because they kept on trying to do the courts on him. Trying to appeal and try to appeal and try to appeal. Okay, they're not going to give you this information. But that's the only reason why he wanted to go to Washington, so he wouldn't have to face the death penalty, which he did face the death penalty, and they gave him a death penalty for it. And they kept on appealing, because that's the only reason why Jack Ruby was stalling. That's the only reason why Jack Ruby wanted out of Dallas, Texas. Okay, that he feared for his life, because he had a death penalty on him. Okay, so like I said, these researchers and everybody else is going to throw in a lot more drama in there without telling the truth, because if they tell you the truth, that's it. What kind of a story is that to sell? So if they put a lot more drama in it, a lot more stuff into it, they're going to sell that book, because or that movie or anything else, because they want to put that drama. But like I said, they never pinpoint or show us the true location where Western Union was. How far did he had to walk? What time was he here? What time he was there? They won't go into specific details like I do when I look over this. Okay, Western Union is here. Jack Ruby was here at 11:17 a.m. Then here's the ramp that he walked down. Okay, and he shot Oswald at 11:21. So around 11:20 he was there, and then he was bringing Oswald out, being there at the exact time. No one didn't sneak Jack Ruby in there or anything else like that. If he went ahead and walked up this way and walked around and went through the front entrance, as they claimed or tried to portray, to go down the steps and everything else, he would have missed Oswald. Oswald would have already been in the car, so he would have missed Oswald. Same thing if he was here. This was blocked off with guards and everything else, because it was backing up the other car, and there was a lot of cops in the way and everything else. And they knew, Jack Ruby knew, if he tried to walk down that way, or if Jack Ruby tried to walk down that way, they're going to stop him. The only reason why they didn't stop him from coming in there is because one of the police officers left his post, because he was on this side of the armored truck instead of on this side of the armored truck, and that's what Jack Ruby did. He walked on this side and walked down on this side of the armored truck, and not this side, because they had a guard on this side, and on this side there wasn't no guard, so he went down this way, and that's how he walked straight down the ramp. And as soon as he walks right down the bottom of that ramp there, right there was our news reporters and everything else, and then just at the clear blue, here comes Oswald coming out, and then with a smirk on his face, Jack Ruby couldn't take it, so he pulls out his revolver, runs around the reporters there, and shoots Oswald. Okay, it wasn't a planned assassin or anything else like that. He was not trying to shut Oswald up. Okay, when you put all this information back together, you see the locations and everything else, and you start trying to pinpoint, well, this can't be true or that can't be true, because of the circumstance of when you look at the surroundings and everything else, and how he could come in there. Because like here, they had guards up in here, officers and stuff. By the time you get through, going through the front steps and stuff, and then going in the main lobby and everything else, you don't know which way you're going to go at that point. They knew right here, if you walk down this way, you're going to know that, hey, they're going to take Oswald out here, because there's an armored truck, up here, there's guards and stuff. No one's going to be able to come down that way, because you're coming in front of them. And all the news vehicles and stuff was all parked back here as well. You got to take that in consideration too. That's why when he came down here to get in his car, that probably was in the parking lot at that point. He's seen all the news cameras, the reporters down there and everything else. So he decides to walk on down, walk straight into the ramp there, and there you go. Okay, we can make more sense out of that now. We can understand that more now. And by looking at this kind of evidence, we know that Jack Ruby could not have known Oswald at the time. He couldn't have, because if he was planning on, like I pointed out earlier in this video, if he planned on assassinating Oswald, he would have been there like at 10:45, or he would have probably been around there since 9:30 that morning, so he knows he could see Oswald coming out, so he can assassinate him. But as you see here, we're working on a 4-minute window, or maybe a 3-minute window, or a 2-minute window from him get from Western Union down that ramp right here, which is might as well say a block and a half. We're going to go a block and a half down into that ramp to shoot Oswald, okay, within that short of amount of time frame. So see, basically by time, when you put it all together, by the time that Jack Ruby was walking down the ramp, they started bringing out Oswald at the same time. And then he looks and sees Oswald coming this way, and he's seeing that smirk on his face. That's when he's mind snapped, grabbed the revolver out, run between them reporters there, and shot Oswald. Okay, because it's basically they're coming out down at the same time. It's called coincidence, just like the shots in JFK assassination. People says, oh, well, this couldn't happen, that could happen. But when you got a moving vehicle, okay, and you're moving into that line of fire, which would be the right side and everything else, and then you got a bullet struck in the back, it's already stuck in his head, and when they collided, the two bullets collided in JFK's head, that's why his head opened up. It's called a coincidence. Things like this do happen. A lot of people says, oh, I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe in this and that, but things do happen. People don't expect to get in their car and go down the road and don't expect to not get in an accident, okay? Sometimes it happens that way. People get in accidents and stuff all the time, especially driving in snow. People think, so I could drive in the snow. I'm not going to get in an accident. But they end up doing. They end up getting in an accident. So see, when it comes to things in life, when you're doing investigations, you have to look outside the box. And you have to look at reality right along with it and understand the way things are and how people are as well. Okay, things do happen. And when you look at this and you place everything back in this situation, you look at it from a different point of view, and you look at the angles, and you look at the mapping and everything else, you can get more information from it. You can understand a lot more. Okay, Jack Ruby did not walk down this way. He walked around this way into the parking lot, basically where the car was parked at. Then, with him seeing all the news reporters, vehicles and stuff in this location here and right here, is called curious. Well, there's still newsmen there and stuff. That means Oswald must be still there. And then he starts walking down. He sees an armored car stuck there, and they said, well, they're getting ready to move Oswald. That's probably what they did. But then by the time he got this point here, he thought they was probably backing out, basically. Backing out because there's the armored truck. But when he got to that point, probably he seen them, that they wasn't moving Oswald, that it was stuck. So he goes ahead and goes down that ramp, and then, like I said, he was coming down the ramp at the same time as Oswald was coming out. So that was a coincidence that he got there at that point in time and then come around and shot Oswald. Now, if Oswald would have been moved earlier, he would never took the shot because Jack Ruby wasn't there. You see what I'm talking about? Jack Ruby wasn't there. And if Jack Ruby was there, do you think he's going to leave to go over here when they didn't bring Oswald out and come over here to take that time and mail some money out and then come back? Because during that time he could have been walking over there. They could have transported and moved Oswald at the time. So see, you have to look at it from different angles when you're doing your investigations. There was no way that Jack Ruby knew Oswald. There was no way that Jack Ruby planned this to assassinate Oswald. There is no way that he could have done it in that short time frame if he was trying to shut Oswald up. If he was trying to shut Oswald up, he would have gave himself more time to be there. He would have been there at 9:30 or 9 o'clock that morning and just walked around, went to the street, drank some coffee, so they're moving Oswald at 10:15, so I'll come back at that time. Or he'll be in that location, but he wasn't. He wasn't in that location until 11-something. He probably came down there probably about 11:14, 11:15. He probably got there, parked his car, walked around, went into Western Union, sent the money out, said, talk a little bit, because even after he got done sending the money out, there was somebody that stopped him. It's in the report. Someone stopped him. He talked to him for a minute, So it could have been 11:18 by the time he left Western Union, or almost 11:19. And by the time he walks back around, trying to get in his car, seeing all that stuff, and decides to walk down there, and then starts walking down the ramp, and they just met and collide right there. Okay, these are things when we pull this information and we look at this information, we look at the locations, we go with the time frames, we can get more of a story of exactly what took place that day. You're not going to find this information, like I said, you're not going to find this information from no other researcher. You're never going to find it nowhere else. You're going to only find it here. Jack Ruby did not assassinate Oswald to shut him up. It was one coincidence where he snapped and he shot Oswald. Okay, that's the pure facts about the JFK assassination. And when it comes to Jack Ruby shooting Oswald, okay, he shot Oswald because of him, to Jack Ruby, he assassinated JFK by the news and everything else, and he assassinated Officer Tippit, which he probably even knew Officer Tippit. You know what I'm saying? And here's families, because he kept on saying their family is going to do without a father, you know, and everything else. You know, Jack Ruby was a nice person somewhat, okay? A lot of people says, oh, no, he was a bad person. He's this, that, and that. Jack Ruby was a pretty nice person because, hey, he went ahead and sent $25 to one of his employees, okay, which was a dancer. I didn't want to keep on pointing out his dancer, but, you know, he sent monies out to one of his employees. And, you know, he didn't have to, but he did anyway, you know, and this is actually what happened. He just went in there, mailed the money out, come back out to go to his car, seen all the news reporters and stuff down there, decides to walk down, walks right into down the ramp, and at the same time they're starting to bring Oswald out. And that's when he seen Oswald, he had a smirk, and he just pulled out his mind snap, just pulled out the revolver and shot him. Case closed, because that's the only explanation you're going to get that's actually got more facts to it than false stories. Because if he goes in any other direction, it ain't going to fit in a time frame. Again, we got to look at that time frame. It's not going to fit in a time frame. Okay, so when we watch the movie JFK, it's all false stories we're going to get from that. All this false information we're going to pull from that, because most of that stuff is based on false information. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this video with other people so they know this information and know the true route that Jack Ruby took. You know, like I said, there's a lot of information that is being overlooked and being, you know, people ain't paying attention to, or people don't even know about. But everybody knows when it comes to my research, I want to show you the facts, tell you the truth, because that's what people need nowadays. They need the truth. Thank you, and you have a pleasant, pleasant day.